Pale, the man's jaw dropped, his half-beard bisecting his lips. As he turned to follow his brother, Elisha thought it a fitting image. Half a beard for a man with a double life. No, the Order would hear of nothing from him, for a variety of reasons. Anger was easy. It gave Elisha the distance he needed from those he must treat, and those who might die. Distance, too, from dangerous friends. Elisha would have to apologize at some point, but the draper would be a little more careful suggesting his attraction to his next barber. It would be safer for them both. Elisha descended the narrow stairs at a run, jumping the last few to street level, emerging between the draper's shop and the neighboring woolery. Nathaniel hovered anxiously in the street, turning away toward the hospital, but only after the relief showed plain upon his face. Elisha might have found that expression of relief touching at another time, a time when he was more certain of his skill. As it stood, he'd not dealt much with childbirth, though he'd had more experience with it than most barbers, in the course of his work as the favoured surgeon of Codpiece Alley. And even there, many of the whores forbore to accept the service of a man, or would take advice only, but no examination. Curious that they who spent their love at the whim of strangers should turn prudish when it came to the touch of an examiner's hand. Most, at least, knew the herbs to take to avoid unwanted children. Else they were cast out by their keepers to give birth in the streets, or, heaven forbid, in the hospital. Elisha's fury flared again. His brother should have known better. They slogged along the twisting roads of the Draper's Quarter, dodging customers, wagons and horsemen, speaking not a word. Nathaniel stuck his shaking hands under his arms, as if he embraced himself in his wife's absence. He still wore his leather tinsmith's apron, the pockets bristling with tools and bits of metal. The midwife must have fetched him up from the workshop. What was he making that was so important he left his wife to birth in the hands of strangers? If Helena had been Elisha's own wife. But of course she wasn't. Not his wife, not his choice. As if he could hear his brother's thoughts, Nathaniel suddenly said, "I couldn't bear the screaming, nor the tears. I waited at the door, I did, but I couldn't bear to hear her like that." The buildings loomed over them, stepping out from the lower stories until the levels above bent together and cut the sky into jagged shapes. In some places, rods and arches touched buildings on both sides of the street, holding apart the tilting houses like a man intervening in a tavern brawl. The gravelled streets twined between, edged by ditches to catch rain and refuse. Straight ahead, the carriage of some fool lord had broken a wheel. Two matched horses whinnied and pulled in opposite directions while the grooms tried to sort them out, unhitching the pair and effectively blocking the road while their master shouted from the safety of the carriage. It was just a few years ago King Hugh commissioned carriages for his family. Now, every noble who could afford it had to have one, clattering up the London streets. With a yelp, Nathaniel stopped short, his shoulders quivering. Elisha grabbed his arm and jerked him forward again, taking to the sewage ditch that ran down the side and ducking beneath the tangled reins. "Pull yourself together, Nate. It's your family at stake," he muttered, not sure if he wanted to be heard. The hospital at last towered before them, a story of stone at street level, topped with two more of half-timbers spanned by crumbling plaster, with birds plucking out the insulating straw for nests or in search of insects. It was founded by the old king at the turn of the century, and already decrepit. Nowadays, the current king's reputation hardly hewed to charity. "Which ward?" Elisha asked as they entered the place. Even the refuse he scraped off his boots didn't smell so foul as the hall they faced. The sense of infection, vomit, and blood hung in the air, along with the groans, prayers, and weeping of the afflicted. "3?" Nathaniel suggested. Tension gathering in his shoulders, Elisha focused a brief glare upon his brother, then pushed by him. "Sister!" A nun passing with a bucket turned at his call. "May I—" "Oh!" Her wide brown eyes flooded with tears. "Is it Helena?" Nathaniel blurted, but Elisha held him back, recognizing in the woman before him an emaciated whore he had given a cure 4 winters back. She had sworn off the life. They all swear off it some time or another, but this oath had taken hold, and he smiled as she dropped the bucket to catch his bare forearm. "May the Lord bless you, Elisha, and keep you in his hand." "Sister!" He paused, squeezed his eyes shut, and popped them open. "Lucretia?" She rewarded him with a nod. "Do you remember